Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Ironwoman. After more than 280 episodes, we have still very special guests. Today we go to Ellen. Ellen and I, we know each other from running. She's a super runner. She just has completed 15 New York City marathon races. Who has done that? She's one of those who has entry for life. But introduce yourself, Ellen.
Hi, Suzanne. It's such a pleasure to join you. I'm so honored to take part in this fabulous podcast. I am a runner, I guess. I have been my whole life as a child, too. I participated in track in school and just continued throughout adulthood and have met so many amazing people like yourself. I could not be more to have such wonderful encounters through my running. When I'm not running circles in Central Park, I'm a parent. I have 2 daughters. They're 9 and 12 at this point. I'm very involved in New York City public education to support their growth and development. I also help adults with their growth and development. By trade, I'm a human resources leader and an executive coach. I am fortunate to have had amazing experiences working in human resources for large global companies that have taken me around the world.
Fantastic life.
No complaints.
I love that. Let's talk running. We met in running class, and I know you were in the competitive group, fast runner. For all the listeners, there is like 2 groups, the slower runners and then the competitive runners. She was in that group.
Everyone's fast. I don't know. There's something about competition, though.
Those running groups, for me at least, it's a healthy competition. You make friends and you go there every Tuesday, every Thursday, or whenever you go. And it's just like a good routine. It's motivational to train and to become faster and better. For sure. It's such a fantastic community, and the history behind it too. It goes back to the roots of the founding of the New York Roadrunners. It was really something very special to be a part of. Now, 15 New York City marathon races. How did that start?
It started on a whim when a friend who had done other marathons said, let's do New York. I never, ever in a million years thought I would actually get an entry. What happens when you put your name into the lottery and you never think you're going to get an entry? Always the person that gets the spot. It was in 2002. I got a spot and my friend did not. I was devastated because the only reason why I did it was because they said they were going to do it too. I was like a deer in headlights. I had never trained for a race like that. The longest I had run in a race prior to that, I think, was a 7-miler. There was a big gap there and I was nervous. But because it was just after September 11th, 2001, at the last minute, the Roadrunners opened up additional spaces in the marathon for people who were either able to run it at such a last minute, they had been training, or they were nearby, they didn't have to travel. And my friend was able to join as well. I had some company.
What a nice story.
Yeah. Once you cross that finish line, the first thing you say is, I'm never, ever going to do this again. Mm-hmm. The second thing you say is, how quickly can I register for the next one? Here we are, almost 20 years later, still plodding around the city on the first Sunday in November.
There's something. What is it, that marathon bug?
And personally, for me, it's only about New York. I have no interest in traveling to other places to run the marathon, but it's such a phenomenal way. It's so cliche, but it's such a phenomenal way to experience New York City, from the people that are running it with you, that you talk to on the ferry and waiting for the start, to all the different neighborhoods and communities you experience along the way. It is truly the greatest way to experience New York City. It's not the same as being a cheerleader on the side. It's way more fun to be in it.
Even though it's hard, but watching it on TV that cannot happen. But being on the sidelines is fun, but I've done it a few years now. And my friend and I, we always say, I think it's easier to run it than to be there. We're like out there from 10 o'clock in the morning to almost 8 o'clock at night. And you lose your voice.
Does the same thing. It's harder to cheer than it is to run it. I believe that. I've cheered a few years. I took a couple of breaks in between when I had my 2 kids. I took some time off, but it's just not the same. It's so festive to cheer, but being in it and running through those streets and running across all the bridges, it's amazing. Like there's truly no other experience that can compare to that. It's very special.
I think it starts, for me at least, the first time I see a poster, let's say on a bus, New York City Marathon, and then I get goosebumps. I'm like, oh, I'm in, I have to do it. Then the expo, that for me is always like, oh my God, now it's real.
It's so funny. I have the same thing. It's like the first subway advertisement, the first bus advertisement. Then the flags start to go up along the route. And then you see the line painted on the route. And then it starts to get real and you go to the expo. This year I had the honor, I should say, of you were only allowed this year. It was a very, very small expo and you were only allowed to have one other person with you. I took my 12-year-old daughter. It was small, so it wasn't as impressive as it usually was, but it was so special to be able to take her with me and to have her see picking up that number and walking through the giant Javits Center and getting this stamp and checking that everything's okay. It was really, really cool to be able to share that with her. She runs a little bit. I forced her to participate in her school's track team to get to know people in the fall. And she voluntarily has continued this winter, and we'll see what happens in the spring.
Oh, well, you're certainly a great role model for her, and she can only learn from you.
I think she's actually enjoying it as much as she refuses to admit that.
I think if you're 12, it's a little different than
right?
When you're old.
For sure.
Do you have, out of the 15 races, which one is your favorite?
Oh my God. That's a great question. The first one was really special, of course, because never have that experience before. I remember I ran with one of those tiny little disposable cameras pinned to my shirt because, of course, 2002, so we didn't have our phones and things like this. I ran with a camera pinned to my shirt and I took pictures along the way. That was amazing. It was so much fun. It was absolutely incredible. After that, I don't know if there's been a particular year that's been more special than another. There have been better races than others, ones that I've trained more or less for, seen more of the city, perhaps, usually paced. They're all, each time I go in dreading it. And each time it's, there are a couple of years where I said, I really don't think I'm going to do this again. Of course, I always do. But there's something about it. It's impossible to articulate, I think. There's just something to that whole Sunday, the whole city unites around it as you like plod through. Even seeing like the few traces that are left Monday and Tuesday after is really fun.
What happens on Monday when you take the subway?
Fall down the stairs. When I can barely walk. I love watching all the runners that traveled in. They're walking around with their medals on. They're shopping at the Marathon Monday Expo near Tavern on the Green. It's really, and I got married at Tavern on the Green. So it's so much fun to go there and to see this and have other people sort of crowding around this place after they've had that amazing accomplishment. The Monday after is really a lot of fun. And I tend to eat a lot too.
That's the best of the running. We don't want to give away all the secrets of marathon running. But for me, I was, you can eat whatever you want.
Giant cheeseburger for lunch, a large shake for sure. There are a couple of traditions that go along with that.
What tips would you have if somebody wants to start running or start marathon running? There's so many marathons around the globe now.
For sure. I think for most people, if they haven't done it before, they're in awe of this name marathon and what that looks like. Even if it's a 5K, if you've never done a 5K before, it sounds like this incredibly daunting experience. Again, so cliche, but all you have to do is put one foot in front of the other. Nobody wakes up one day, or they're not supposed to wake up one day and run a marathon. You build up to it. You're not going to open your door and head out and run 10 miles. You're going to run one, maybe half, and build up. And if you have the time to do that and the dedication, it's actually quite easy. It doesn't take any special equipment, just a pair of sneakers. They don't even have to be fancy. And it's a great way to see a place too. One foot in front of the other. It's the easiest sport there could possibly be.
You only need a pair of running shoes so you can go alone wherever you are. You need to be on the safe side. If it's dark, you shouldn't be running. Or if it's a lot of traffic, or always want to be safe. But you mentioned the word determination.
For sure. You have to want to do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You especially if you're going to do longer distances, you have to want to be able to do that, because it's not always going to be easy. You have to be able to push through that just past the point of discomfort. You don't have to push past the point of an Olympian, but you want to push past the point of discomfort, and you'll realize that you can do hard things.
You can translate that in the everyday life.
Everyday life. It's amazing to me how much it transfers to other areas. You can tackle challenging personal issues once you realize all I had to do was put one foot in the front of the other. I could do this too. But it absolutely transfers. It transfers to work. And I think the repetitive aspects of running, the almost meditation-like aspects of it, help you focus. I've noticed that's a consistency among most long-distance runners that I know, that they have this incredible ability to really hunker down and focus on something and solve a problem or come up with a creative idea because of that training.
And a lot of people who are not runners, they say, "Are you still running?" And it's not only that one day, it's a commitment of determination to train. Basically, July 1st marks the first day of training.
Yeah.
And then you're committed. It's hard when you don't train.
It's very hard when you don't train, speaking from experience on that for sure. But it's not recommended. But it is. It's a commitment. I said that I'm going to do this, and being able to follow through with it like anything else. But it's also saying, I can continue to do this. And if you do continue to do it, it does become a part of you. And people always say, "Oh, you're going to do it again," or "You're still running. That's crazy." I don't know if it's crazy. It more just becomes part of who you are.
I repeat myself. You don't want to be around me when I don't run. My back starts to hurt. I don't sleep as well. I get cranky, and I get cranky with myself. So I think it's a meditation. And especially also when we're so inundated with information and stuff, it's a time to reflect. And I don't run with music. Do you run with music?
Nope, never have, never will. I can't. I think because when I first started running, it was tied to school. And typically when you're doing school athletics and competitions, you can't run with any music. I'm also old enough that we didn't really have mobile music at the time either. It wasn't part of my beginning, and I never integrated it in afterwards. It's my time to just focus on the leaves and the sky and whatever comes to my mind. I love that time.
I love that time too. I couldn't agree more. And now what are we doing next year in May, or even this year in May?
Are we going to France?
No, not yet. Maybe next year. Let's talk about that.
For sure. I think, like I said, I wouldn't travel for a full marathon. I'd rather separate those things out. But I love to travel for half marathons. And there are some gorgeous places around the world where you can go and experience that. And the training for a half is a bit more manageable than it is for a full as well. If you want to come to Normandy and run the Mont Saint-Michel half marathon, it takes place at the end of May. Come and join.
Okay. Let's put that on the list.
For sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This is always an inspiration. And since I haven't run a marathon in more than 5 years, it brings back all the memories. I'm like, oh, maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe.
I'll be on the ferry the first Sunday in November. It's always nice to have company.
Okay. See you there.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much. This is really cool.
A pleasure.
Okay, when you talk to a fellow marathon runner, you get the marathon bug. What are you taking away from this episode? Amazing. Just to get to know people. When do you ever meet a person? In running class. That's how we met. That's how we have fun and how we train together. Take it from the Ironwoman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Don't miss out. There's something for everybody. And Take It from the Ironwoman started out as a book with global business coaching with sports parallels. Get it, read it, write a review, and also follow us on your preferred platform. There will be more. Thank you so much for your support. Bye-bye.